Okay. Welcome to my screencast of my learning journey. So we'll start here. Here on my OLTD 505 blog, and scroll down to the bottom. Okay, so before this course began on OLTD 505, the idea of what's called an open education resource did not exist in my vocabulary. The idea of open education was also fairly new to me. Before leaving this master's program, Khan Academy was not a thing. So this course obviously was a fairly eye-opening experience. An open educational resource, if you don't know, is either a resource or some kind of file or document or a bank of data that is free to use, redistribute, modify, as long as you respect the author and credit the author and not sell it for money. But that's a little bit later. Essentially was what's birth of what's called the Creative Commons. And we were to, learn about what the Creative Commons was, the idea of it, and a guy named Lawrence Lessig was the man who kind of founded the whole thing. And these are TED Talk about what that is. I also had commented about, about Khan Academy, and in BC we have our own BC campus open textbook project that I wasn't even aware of. And the idea of an open educational resource is great, and I have nothing against it. It's however, the critical eye always thought, who makes OERs? So it doesn't come from nowhere. Is it free? Why is it free? Is there bias? Is there backers, financial backers? Why is there financial backers? There's a lot of questions about OERs that I still don't really know about. But that's obviously another whole course in itself about, where does material come from. So we looked at open education and the birth of it in week 1. Week 2, we looked more at the whole copyleft, copyright thing. And again, I looked at Lawrence, looked at the Creative Commons website, and a few other sites, what is copyleft. That defines kind of what the idea of copyleft. Copyleft itself does not exist as an actual legal term. It's just a description of using copyright to protect distribution rights rather than protecting the content. Whereas traditional copyright, you protect the distribution rights as well as the content itself, so that you cannot reuse and modify the content. Okay, this Creative Commons thing was actually pretty interesting. It was a great place you can find out about different licenses to protect your open content. Basically giving it a copyright license so that people can use it and redistribute it as long as they acknowledge you as the owner. And you can figure out how to do all of that on this site, which is great. definitely a very useful site to go to that if you ever decide to, publish a lot of content. Lawrence here was a great inspiration, talking about the whole Creative Commons thing, and obviously, he kind of, spawned it, but he did it as a response to copyright law being very much a dinosaur in today's world. So using copyright law, again, he protected, brought about the idea of protecting distribution rights, or the way files are distributed, rather than protecting the content. Protecting the openness of content, I guess. It's like people have the right to edit content and redistribute it, rather than you don't have the right to modify it. So then we got talking about open educational resources and their banks and different things, and we were tasked with looking at different open educational resources. I like the one I found, decided to kind of take a good look at, was Merlot. Here's Merlot, main screen of Merlot here, and it almost looks like it's a university. With all their pictures and stuff, but it's really just a collection of links to free online educational sources and teaching tools. And it was fairly simple to use. I just click search and then type in a search term. Let's say algebra. You'd hit search, and then you would think about it for a while and come up with some search terms. And it was really neat to me because it was it reminds me a lot of when you would use like EBSCOhost or something like that from university times when you had your research databases, because it kind of works a lot like it. Again, Merlot doesn't actually have these things. There's links to these resources, and you can see that people can review them. Users can rate them as well, to give you a basic idea. And then you just click on the one that you wanted to go to, and it would open up a page for it. Okay, it gives a little bit of who it's for, kind of thing, and then it usually takes you to a link, go to the material. Okay, and then links you to the material, and you get to obviously go through it all, right? So that's that. So I thought Merlot was actually fairly useful, or can be very useful as an OER, as finding things for you that have already been collated together. So after looking at reviewing OERs, we looked at we entered in, by this time we were looking at what sharing resources and the whole idea of sharing. And one of the big things that actually inspired me a bit was looking at Dean Shersky, this guy right here, as he's talking about that maybe even a mere decade ago, a decade and a half ago, that resources were actually very hard to find. You spent more time searching resources or for resources than actually evaluating them, whereas in today's world, now we're looking at spending more time filtering and critiquing resources that will fit our goals. Dean also kind of alludes to the whole idea about who actually owns the content that educators create, whether it's under the ownership of the district or your employer, rather than you, since you're technically employed by them. But that is a different discussion entirely. But then Dean also talks about the importance of sharing, and that we should as educators share, and I really thought about that, and it's like, well, okay, you know what, I've got a resource that I kind of babied and built, so I decided under inspiration from Dean here that I would create, or not create, or that I would share my unit, my internet coding plan here. So I decided I would do that and share it on my next blog post, and since I already put this together, it was like, okay, well, the unit plan itself, kind of the labs, and the final project here, and then pulling up big sample lab as well, right? So I decided I'd share this solely because of this class and then this video as well, talking about the importance of sharing. So I thought I would share it, and hopefully people can make use of it. So thank you, Dean, for giving me that courage. So that led to my week 5 post, which was putting it out there for the world. Here you can download the file as a zip that contains all those documents, and then just putting up my own thing here about making sure that you don't just steal it and run away with it. And then talking about also that I have another Weebly website as well, where you can check out a few other sources, again, or different things that I do. And then also, linking up Edmodo that I currently use. So, which led to, I guess, this final week, final day, and I decided that I would use my blog to talk about, I guess, make sure I covered all my learning outcomes, and just kind of reflect on the whole course, as well as using this video as another way of showing that. And again, I kind of more or less talk about in greater detail and asking more questions and things in my write-up than I do on this video, but basically covering what we did these past 6 weeks. Another part of the course was obviously to Twitter and post in our Google community. Here you have a link to my Twitter account, and I'm not a very good Twitterer, I'll admit it. It's something I need to grow on as I develop more. But I'll be, once I get better at this and more comfortable using Twitter, then I'll be able to be a better Twitterer. And then obviously sharing in our Google community, which is also something new. So I'm grateful for this course for at least giving me the opportunity to actually get into Google Plus, and prodded me into Twitter as well, which I'll still have to figure out how I'm going to do and get comfortable doing that. It is my hope that I'll be able to keep moving forward with this and not fall off the wagon, and move on with using Google Plus as a good community and sharing resource. Anyway, that's my video on what I've learned in OLTD 505. Thanks, Alec, and signing off.